Hey everyone, here's the Iron Man Mark 85 and Thanos Infinity Saga 2-pack, and you can see for yourself that the figures look awesome just in the packaging itself. The box itself looks great. You can see the printing on it is really nice. The Infinity Saga fonts are really great with the colors, and you have the cosmic effect on the box. So for those mint collectors, this really looks great. Here is the artwork at the side of the box and on the other side. Here's the top part of the box and the bottom of the box. The back of the box has the character bio for each of them and an endgame poster. Just look at this. Really look awesome with the many accessories that it comes with. Let's open it up. Here are the figures on the clamshell, and yeah, really look awesome. The cardboard has logos of the different MCU characters. The one for Doctor Strange looks like a basketball. And yeah, these are the figures that we have been waiting for. And for this video, I'm going to review Iron Man Mark 85. Check this out. Really a lot of things happening with this figure. So much accessories. Let me start off with the accessories so that I can clear them off. First is the shield. The shield is exactly the same as the one we got from the Mark 50 from the Iron Spider and Mark 50 2-pack. There you can see the clip at the back, and the design is really the same as each other. It can just be clipped on to the arms. The shield should have been bigger, just like in the movie. Next, the other weapon, the blade. The blade has a handle over here. It looks good actually with the translucent blue and the solid red. And he only has one hand to hold it, which is his left hand. That's the only gripping hand that he has. Yep, just like that. He has a pair of fists and also repulsor blast hands, where there is a hole for you to insert the energy effect. We've seen this from plenty of the previous Iron Man figures. Beside those two pair of hands, this is the gripping hand, and the other one is the finger snapping hand. I think it is decently painted, but a bit of shine to it would have been a bit better. And now, for the alternate head and necks. I think most of us are really excited to see how this works. So how does it really look like? Well, here you go. It's actually a hole, and there is a hole for the pack inside. And yeah, for those who are wondering whether you can remove the head from the neck, yes, you can. It has the normal ball pack joint, just like the other figures. So this is something which is really awesome. And you can also see at the neck, this should be facing the front, because this cup over here would match up to the edges of this hole. So you just simply slot it in. Yep, that's it. It's really seamless, right? It's like I wouldn't know that the neck can be pulled out if I didn't know about the alternate necks. So same goes for the helmet head. Quite a number of people have been saying that the Tony Stark head is kind of big compared to the body. And yeah, I do find it just slightly big for the figure, but not really like overwhelmingly unproportionate or anything. It still looks decent to me. Here are the two heads side by side, and that's why some people have been saying that the Tony Stark head looks big, because you can see that the Tony Stark head actually looks kind of bigger than the head with the helmet on. Yeah, but you really can't deny that the sculpt on the Tony Stark is really awesome, really great. And when you compare him with other unmasked figure, I think it looks kind of okay. The head doesn't look overwhelmingly big or anything. It does look a bit big though, beside the female figures. I'll share more about the head swap of this head later on, but anyways, you can see that the sculpt is really good. I think this is the best Tony Stark head that we've gotten so far. Here's the better ravaged head. Looks good as well. When the figure has the helmet on, you can kind of see the line where the neck connects, but it really is not that bad or that obvious. So yeah, I really like the idea of this swappable neck, although it does not really apply for all characters. It would be interesting if they do this for Spider-Man so that he has the costume just halfway up his neck. Although I'm not sure whether that would work or not. Now for the appearance and paintwork, this figure is a repaint of the Mark 85 from the Fat Thor Wave, but with a retool of the torso to accommodate the neck swapping system. But there are plenty of differences between them in terms of the silver part especially. First off, of course you can see that the shade of gold and red is very different for the two figures. Actually, overall, I prefer the color on the earlier version. The darker shade of gold is kind of okay on the new Mark 85, but the red is kind of slightly too bright for it, I feel. This red is kind of nicer, but because of the contrast on the red, it does make the gold kind of shine more. The silver parts are also darker on the new one compared to the previous version. Here's a closer look at the head. The new Mark 85 does not have the black line on the mouth. So beside the difference in the shade of the overall paintwork, the arc reactor has a blue outline around it compared to the earlier one which does not have the blue outline. You can see a difference in the way they painted the silver parts over here. There's more on the upper torso, lesser on the upper torso of the new one. The bottom torso is also painted slightly differently. There's more gold on the old one compared to the new one. There is a bit of blue and gold over here which is painted, unlike the previous one which does not have them. And at the side, the silver part is also painted slightly different. It's a bit thicker over here compared to this small strip of silver. And there is a red paint on this side of the shoulder. There. For the earlier version, it is not painted. Over here, you can see the silver is not painted, but it's painted over here. There really are quite a lot of minor differences for the silver parts. Nothing major, but yeah, it's there. And one thing that irks me is that this paint over here is of a different shade from the rest of the red. And it's really quite obvious. There, this red on this patch over here. Same for the other side. Not obvious from the front, of course, but yeah, even on the inner leg, the red paintwork is kind of different. I think this is because this sculpt is gold in color and it has red painted over, but for this part, the sculpt is red with gold painted over. That is just what I think, but whatever it is, there is that difference. At the back of the leg, also some difference between the silver parts painted here for the new Mark 85, unpainted for the older one. It does make it look a bit better though, having these silver lines. There is also more silver lines painted at the back of the new Mark 85. So overall, the shade of paintwork is slightly different, and for the new Mark 85, there is more silver parts painted around the figure. For me, I kind of prefer the paintwork on the older one, especially for the shade of red. But the new one isn't too bad either. Do share in the comments below which paintwork you prefer. Articulation. The head is able to tilt left and right. It goes up this much only. This much down. Ab crunch to the back and to the front. This mid-torso joint allows it to rotate as well, besides moving back and front. It doesn't have the waist swivel because of that, just like most of the Iron Man figures. Arms go up this high. Bicep swivel, double hinge, elbow joint, wrist hinge and swivel. The arm rotates all around, of course. This amount of split, this amount of frontal split, although Iron Man wouldn't be doing any splits. The legs can go up this much. Double hinge knee joint, calf swivel, hinge and ankle rocker. So that's pretty much the standard articulation for the recent Iron Man figures. Now let's try the Tony Stark head on other Iron Man figures. And for the previous Mark 85, you can't do it without modification because of the way the head pack is. Yeah, there's no way for you to put it on without modifying the hole. That's how high the head sits on the neck. Here's Mark 50 and it kind of works on Mark 50. There you go. So it works. Here's Mark 45. I think this is from the Civil War movie, right? And it works on this figure too. Well, kind of. The head kind of sits slightly higher on the neck, but still looks okay, I feel. Here's with Mark 42. And the head goes on and actually sits on the neck quite well, but unfortunately, most of the Iron Man figures from Mark 42 and the one earlier from it has kind of a slightly smaller and narrower body mold, so you can see that Iron Man looks kind of skinny compared to the new Iron Man figures. Here's the 10th year anniversary Mark 7, and nope, the head kind of sits too high on the neck pack. And you can also see the obvious difference in size between the two figures. Here's one of the generic suit figures, and this one is from the 2-pack with Mark 1. The head is actually extremely small compared to the new Tony Stark head. And definitely the head is really off. Looks like a bobble head. And lastly, this is ZD Toys Mark 85, and the head actually sits really well on it. There. Okay, maybe it is slightly up higher on the neck, but it looks kind of okay actually. And the head actually scales well, I feel. Here's how he scales up with Cap and Thor. I guess when you put him beside the worthy Cap, his head does look slightly on the bigger side, but I guess it looks okay if I were to move Cap slightly in front. So yeah, you really got to work with the positioning in order not to make the head look kind of big. Lastly, I just want to share with you guys something that I got from Aliepress quite some time ago, which is this weapon and the finger snapping hands. This is the finger snapping custom or bootleg or whatever you want to call it that I got from Aliepress. Looks kind of okay. The red is chrome red and shiny, and you can see the Infinity Gauntlet. The yellow looks kind of orange though, the one at the top of the hands, and not really painted properly. But yeah, looks quite decent. Here, the weaponized hand, I think it is a modification from the Figuarts or something. So this is modified to fit Marvel Legends. Let's compare these two hands. And yeah, I think having some shine to the finger snapping gauntlet actually looks quite okay. Let's swap it out. There you go. Okay, maybe in this case, it looks kind of slightly off to have suddenly some shine to the hand. But I think it works better with the earlier Mark 85. There you go. Which one do you guys prefer? Here is the weapon, and yeah, it has been modified to fit Marvel Legends. This blue color flame is kind of a separate piece where you just insert it inside. And you just simply put it in. This feels a bit fragile though, and also the color is slightly off because it follows the color on the figure art. So between these two figures, I think it looks kind of okay on both of them, even though the weapon is kind of chrome red. Maybe it fits slightly better on the newer Mark 85. So, what do you guys think of this new Mark 85? I think from the comments that I've received on my Instagram, the response to it has been quite divisive. Especially for the Tony Stark head, because quite a number of people actually think that the head looks kind of big in the picture. But in hand, it looks kind of okay-ish. It does look a tad big to me, in my opinion, but it isn't really that bad in terms of the size. But if you are talking about the head sculpt, definitely this is the best Tony Stark head that we've gotten so far. And the fact that we get so many other accessories for it, the alternate hands, the shield, the snapping finger, and the blade weapon, is really an awesome figure and an upgrade to the previous Mark 85. But the slight disappointment about the head is that it can't really be used on most of the other Iron Man figures. But yeah, it is still a great Tony Stark head. Thanks for watching. Do stay tuned for more comparison and reviews. Hit the subscribe button and I'll see you in the next one.